think we're live. So I don't know how many times I'll do a live video and wonder if I'm live when I'm intending to go live. It's actually worked 99% of the time, but you know how it is going live. So today is an audit session. If you don't know who I am, my name is Corrin. I am a co-founder of Indiepreneur. And I will be checking your landing pages and your campaigns, and sometimes some Q&A starts to get mixed into audit sessions. We try to limit that. So this one it's meant to be more for you to send in your links and to your pages, or show me things and ask me what could be improved about them. But usually I end up doing a Q&A as well, because we're here, so why not? So I want to make sure you guys can hear me in the chat. Okay, other states is saying I'm live. Hi, Denise. Good to have everybody here. Hey, Steve, how's it going? So sounds low, huh? I am cranked. I don't know. This happens every time. Let me check. Hold on. Okay. All right. That should be louder. Any louder, my gain's going to clip. So, well, hopefully that helps. Otherwise, crank your speakers. Okay, so just kidding. I'm going to dig into the comment section first, right? So everybody who got in there early, they're going to have their questions answered first, and have their audits checked first. And then, of course, I'll be watching the chat. And if there's follow-up questions, or I might ask you questions about your assets, that kind of thing, then go ahead and we'll figure it all out as we go. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna start in the comment section first, and I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so that we can all see, because I know I hate when someone's reading through something. You kind of like rush when you're reading through a question that's written somewhere, and then people are like, what are you saying? So we're going to start with Wyatt, aka Steve. Hi, guys. I'm trying to figure out the best approach to promoting my recent single release on streaming services. My main focus has been Spotify. However, the song Won't Buy It is on most major streaming services. I have the landing page below from herenow.com that is not flexible but appears to cover the major bases. I would like your feedback on this content or recommendations for better widgets. Also would like to understand better practice for promoting streaming, both using this type of landing page. Have you run ads on Facebook with these landing pages with any success, or any success just posting on Facebook to your existing fan base? Any other recommendations for promoting streams on Spotify and others? Have you developed a strategy for pleasing the algorithm gods through pre-save, follow, and stream campaigns, plus independent curator playlisting? This is all new to me as this is my first single. Okay, you wrote me a book, so I'm just going to go ahead and stop there for now. So let me go ahead and take a look first at your landing page. And I'm going to open that in another link for everybody to see. All right. So you're saying this is Here Now, which is unfortunately not a service I'm familiar with, but I get it. It's a simple, it looks like it's a CD Baby tool. I'm interested if this is different from the show.co tools that are also offered through CD Baby, because I'm actually a little more versed on those. But so I get it. You send people to this landing page and they click through. And I think when it comes to these kind of platforms, whether it's Linktree or this or Linkfire or link, whatever it is, I don't think there's one that like outperforms the other, right? I do like Linkfire because you have the ability to save people's like what their preferences are. So like if I went to this page and I clicked Spotify one time, Linkfire would remember me even on other people using Here Now as a Spotify preferred user. The problem with that is that sometimes they're clicking YouTube because they're, at home where they're on, high speed. And then when they go to a landing page when they're on the go, they don't want to go to YouTube because it's higher bandwidth, so that can be flawed. But otherwise, I like Linkfire for that reason. But for the most part, none of these really, differ. And obviously, you don't have a ton of control over how this is constructed or presented, so because they're just like plug and play kind of things. So that said, going to touch on your questions quick. Spotify is all the things, right? And I think as far as most of your questions regarding Spotify is just like, how do we get this to work, right? The greatest success that we see is promoting singles to your existing fan base. So yes, like you were saying, posting on Facebook. Also, though, sending campaigns via email. If you use Instagram story ads to your warm audience and have them swipe up, even if you don't have 10,000 followers, that swipe up is now enabled because it's an ad. I know we see, really good success with warm traffic doing that. Also running like follow campaigns to your mailing list. And this is an opportunity for artists to be kind of vulnerable and be like, hey, I'm independent. You guys are my label. And, explaining to them a little bit about how Spotify works and saying like, people will not hear my music and Spotify will not show my music to people unless my existing fans love it. And you can help me by following me, saving the song to a playlist, that kind of thing. Those are, usually the most successful things that we see. Now, there have been some discussions as of late in the group about strategies for ads to cold traffic and pushing clicks to Spotify. And usually some of these strategies will start in questionable countries, thinking that, it'll just migrate later. I don't think that that's how it works. It didn't work that way with the Facebook algorithm, but we weren't sure 10 years ago. And then we figured out, we can't do that. I think Spotify will reveal itself to be very similar over time. But that said, I would stick to your warm traffic if you're going to do any kind of paid pushing. If you don't have a huge warm audience, then I would say run your fan finder. Your Spotify numbers will have a sympathetic boost while you're doing a fan finder on Facebook because people will naturally go find that. It also helps if you're running a fan finder on a video for that song, and comment below your own video that has a link to Spotify, iTunes, like your major 3 players, right? And then pin that to the top. And then if people want additional links, they'll reply to that comment and whatever. But then it's not like cluttering up your ad. You're not putting a CTA button, but it's still enabling people to go check it out. So that's my recommendation for kind of Spotify in a broad scope. It looks like, you're saying here now is not super flexible and it's a fixed format, of course. The landing page is promoted by CD Baby, charges a $2 monthly fee to do a Spotify follow only campaign with a widget button. On landing page, I created the attached ad using show.co. See, now I should have read the whole thing. Sorry, I was trying to be more efficient, but you were smarter than me. This particular asset is free to CD Baby members and is flexible in that you write the copy and upload the images. Man, you were just steps ahead of me, weren't you? So, yeah, and see, I like this better. I don't know why your picture is like, whoa. That looks like maybe it's supposed to go up here and the code is off, or maybe this is ingrained into this tree photo, and so that's just where it ended up. So that looks a little off, but otherwise, this looks good to me. Let's see if I go mobile. Yeah, I would think that maybe that, Steve, is that picture actually on the within this tree photo, or are those separate assets? Let me know in the comments. But otherwise, I like this. I mean, I think if you're sending warm traffic here, it's fine. I don't know. I think when you're having them like click follow or enter their email, it's like, well, what am I getting? So, if they're following you, they're not like necessarily getting the song, right? And if they put in their email, it's not really engaging them into a Spotify action. So I would either like use the copy to clear that up, or I would, just try to make it clearer, like, click the follow button or enter your email to get early access before it's released or whatever. Just make sure it's something, tantalizing. That's what we always want. So, but yeah, I mean, I love the artwork and I think that this is cool. I think that this picture seems a little misplaced. obviously like on a phone, that's kind of what that would look like. And so it's like, oh, what is that? But you can't scroll over there. And then when it's wide, it sinks kind of far down and it cuts off Wyatt's name. So that's just something to consider with this artwork. And like I said, I don't know if that's just a misplacement in the code or if that's intentional, but so just an eye out for that. Okay, let me go further down. The show.co ad is limited in that it's only a follow button, but also comes with tracking. I emailed it to a sample email list of approximately 25 people, 14 opened, 64 conversion. Okay. Sample 25 people sign up on my webpage as fans. Conversion rate tracking was nice, but can be misleading as someone clicks Spotify. Yeah, those Spotify API tracking is like, it's a little suspect. I don't always trust it, so I think you're on point there. It counts that, but if they don't have a Spotify account, exactly. Yeah, and that's because Spotify has its doors shuttered and doesn't care if you know what happens on Spotify. So this is the thing that I'm hoping will be fixed in the future, right? Like Ticketmaster and Spotify and all these other companies, they're like, these are our customers, not your customers. And it's like, yeah, but they wouldn't be your customers in this instant if I didn't exist. So maybe work with us. So hopefully they'll open that up. But I mean, I think for the meantime, like your best bet is going to be just kind of combining these efforts together. I definitely like this page better visually than this one, but in the end, I don't like the only benefit here is that you can gather someone's email. But if you're going to gather someone's email, I would build that on ClickFunnels or Lead Pages or your website, and just have it be its own thing versus, trying to have everybody do all the things. You may as well just use this as a follow button, and it's not 100% accurate, but if you filter your audience down to people who have interest in Spotify, it can usually, kind of parse out the Spotify users and be fairly accurate. So then you could kind of make sure that, no one was clicking or no one was coming to the page that wasn't probably a Spotify user. So, but yeah, I think, do as much as you can with your warm audience, get them to share. Something I've talked about before with on our podcast is a service called tunespeak.com. They aren't cheap, but they are inexpensive compared to, a lot of other things. And they'll do like for singles or album releases, or, they'll do like prize packs and people can kind of engage on all kinds of levels. I'm going to do a real quick preview of that because I know I also touch on it in training in Indie Pro. So I don't want to waste everybody's time. But for example, a lot of people don't actually come in here and like browse this way. Most people are being sent here by the artist. So say, I like Hootie, right? So you click enter to win and then they can sign up with whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with Facebook. So it gets my email address right there. It's already, well, why is this difficult? Of course, when I'm trying to show you is when it's going to be like, oh, no, you got to do all this stuff. Okay, there we go. All right. So there's a lot of different things that you can have people do. Oh, and of course, it's just they're having them do practically nothing. Okay. Well, so you can follow on Spotify. You can get points there. You can follow a playlist and get points there. You can join the mailing list. Other contests that I've seen also have people, they can stream the song up to a certain number of times and get points for that. If it's an album with multiple songs, they can stream all of those up to 3 times a day to get points and come back every day for the length of the campaign. So TuneSpeak is a cool tool. Last I checked, they were $500 for, like a one-off campaign, or if you're doing a tour, it's $250 per tour date, depending on how many Facebook page likes you have, which I guess they're using Facebook page likes to determine that, or they were last time I checked. So, so anyway, yeah, I mean, there's certain stuff here. I'll open one that's like, so, okay, yeah, Kesha did one, for example. Nope, and they locked the prizes. Okay, so I can't show you. But anyway, you can give away stuff, and it can really help kind of generate this like social proof if you're looking for more ways to do that and you don't just want to stick with the fan finder. I'd recommend them, but otherwise I think what you got going is pretty good. Just like stay focused on that warm traffic. Use fan finders for the cold traffic. Don't try to skip a step in the buddy system, and you should be good to go. So, sorry that was so long, guys, but I just want to make sure I covered all that. I'm going to check the comments real quick. Okay, glad my sound is good. Okay, and other states is leaving some stuff for me later. Okay, great. Okay, gotcha, Steve. That was a goof. All right, cool. Well, hopefully you can get that worked out because I do love this artwork. I think it's very cool. So, awesome. All right, next I'm going to move on to Suzanne's first question. She's getting a beta test up for the I series and E series email campaigns and would love your look at it. I'm doing it a little bit out of order. What's the best way to submit all that? Ooh, yeah. So there's a couple things. If you're live, Suzanne, I haven't seen you comment yet. So if you are here, if you'd like to send you could send a test of the series when you go into, wherever they usually let you send a test of the entire series at once to a user, Corrin at indiepreneur.io, if you want to try that. Or you can put it in a Google Doc and give me that link. Either one is fine. So hopefully we'll come back to that. All right, next. I tried to use, is it Mirjam? Am I going to say it wrong? I hope I don't say it wrong. I hope it's Mirjam. But if not, I'm sorry, and you can correct me, and I will say it right next time. I tried to use one campaign for all our tour ads with campaign budget optimization because from September on you can't do without. I'd like to do it in one campaign because that makes less mess of my ads manager. I agree. But it wasn't working very well when I want to use €4 budget in the campaign settings and have 4 ad sets with a minimum of €1 per ad set. Then it says there's not enough budget. How do you do it? Yeah, exactly. Or should I set a different campaign? No, I usually run campaigns. And yeah, you're going to need, if you've got 4 tour dates, you're probably going to need $5 at least, or €5, in your case. I'm pretty sure €1 is the minimum, although I've seen some people reporting that it's making them have 2, or 1 per plus $1. So, but in any case, campaign level optimization is great. It can be tough on tours though, because it's not necessarily going to optimize, because we're talking about different audiences, you're going to want to set a minimum for each ad set. Now, when you're doing ads at this level, there's not a whole lot to play with. But say you were doing something at €20 a day, and you're like, okay, I'm playing, a couple of big cities, and then I'm playing this little city, but you don't want that little city to be so low priority in the budget that they're getting no traffic at all, right? And so what they haven't added to everyone's campaign level optimization yet is the ad set minimum, right? Where you can set what the minimum is per ad set. So that's why campaign level optimization isn't great right now for those who are running on smaller budgets, because you don't really get that flexibility. Actually not great on larger budgets either. For tour, it's just kind of tough right now. In theory though, what campaign level optimization does is it identifies, okay, how many people are in this audience, even though they don't tell you the number, they know, right? How many people are in these various audiences, and, what percentage of the budget, should I give that audience? And then they let it run for a while, and they're like, okay, which audience is responding best in ratio to the number of people who are in the audience, and then what's the budget? And it does more optimization over the time. So that's what it does. However, when you're talking about tours, that means that, people may not be engaging a whole lot in a city, but that doesn't mean that you don't want to promote your show in that city, because you still need people to come, right? In fact, they might need more budget. So all that said, I would go ahead and, I would try it without campaign level optimization. Right now, there's so little discrepancy. If you only have €4 a day, and you've got 4 ad sets, you may as well just run them at 1 per day, and then watch your reach and frequency. Just make sure that people haven't seen it, 10 times and have not responded. And in another ad set, they've only seen your ad once, then you can kind of do some manual changing around. But I wouldn't use campaign level optimization at that low of a budget level just yet. You will have to do it in the fall. So it's good that you're practicing, and I commend you for trying something before you are forced to so that you can get practice. But for now, if I were you, I would just turn off that campaign level optimization and kind of ride the faders manually, so to speak. And then your next question, do you clean up your ad account sometimes? If so, how do you delete old campaigns? If so, are you then also deleting all the data with it? So no, if you delete campaigns, it takes them out of the view, but they're never gone forever, ever. And I can actually show you here. Oh gosh, I need to change my Facebook profile right now. I have too many Facebook accounts for different purposes. So don't mind me. Just changing accounts here. It's not that secret. It's just, it keeps me organized. Don't tell Facebook, though, because they'll shut me down, right? All right, so, for example, if I go into one of our clients' accounts here. Okay, and so when you're up here, and you click filters, you can actually, look into not active, scheduled, etc. And you'll see there's this one here that says deleted, right? If you select deleted, then you'll see all of the deleted ones. So it doesn't delete the information. You can always go back and revisit it. It does clean up the account though. And like, as you can see, this artist runs a lot of campaigns. So, and we probably deleted out most of it, I'd say maybe, I don't know, a couple months ago or something. And so they just, they'll show up forever if you don't do that. So yeah, I mean, you can clean it up. It's not going to do any damage. They're not, like I said, they're not gone forever. So, if you're OCD like I am, and if you're like, I need less things to look at, then go ahead and delete them because they aren't actually gone. So I hope that's helpful. All right, I'm going to close that out. Suzanne is back. Hello, Suzanne. I'm going to real quick check in with the chat because I think it's been filtering out some of my stuff here. So let me fix that because I want to see your lovely faces live. Okay. Bear with me, folks. All the tech things, right? Looks like I might have chat up here too. Oh, you are in here, Suzanne. Okay, great. Okay, just want to make sure I didn't miss anything else. Okay. Other states, I'll be coming back to you. Don't worry. I see your stuff. I do these in order to make sure no one's cheated. Okay. So, I don't have a proper fan finder going yet. I've felt incredibly stuck around creating a music video, but I've got to find some way to overcome that hurdle. I do have recurring content now. Maybe this is the solution. I've been doing regular Facebook Lives every week where I play a song that is mine and a song that is not mine based around a theme. I'm wondering, should I use those as fan finders and target fans of whoever the artist is I'm covering? I play the cover song first and my song last, so it's easier to target people who actually stick around to hear my work. I'm just a bit worried about Facebook taking down cover songs and videos. It's happened before, but not lately. Right. Okay, it looks like the rest is a different question. So there's multiple schools of thought on this. If it were me and I were in your precise position, I would probably record the video, download the video that I put on Facebook Live and then chop out just my song and just put that up. And, I know you've run a lot of this stuff. So with fan finders, minimal intro, not a lot of talking. So that's going to be very different from when you're doing a Facebook Live, right? Because on a Facebook Live, you don't pop in and start playing right away. You talk about what's going on. That's part of the vibe. Whereas a fan finder has a very different function. There's also, honestly, there are varying schools of thought about covers. I have a particular opinion about covers that may or may not be biased, and I'll explain a little why. So my time with the U.S. Army, right, which I've talked about on the podcast before, I was a sponsored artist for the last 6 years, right? And I played my music when I did that, which is great. However, where I came from before that job was the typical Army band system, and there's like 40 Army bands across the United States. They play covers. They don't have original music. They do, community outreach and stuff like that, and they play songs that people know from, the 40s all the way up until now and whatever. So the thing about covers is that, and American Idol is the same way, and all of these, The Voice, right? Like, we fall in love with someone who's singing a song that we love, but what it also does is it kind of replaces the face. It replaces the person. And so a lot of people think that covers are kind of a bridge, right? Like, oh, you don't know who I am, but if I sing this song that you love, then you'll care. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it works that way. And sometimes it doesn't work that way at all. And instead, as soon as you try to flip the script on them from that cover into your original stuff, like, yeah, I already had this attachment to what you just did, and the original doesn't interest me because even though it's the same voice, like, that's not what brought me here in the first place, right? So does it attract those kind of fans that are going to stick around? And chances are it's, like some of each, right? Like, it'll attract some people who will keep following you, but it'll also attract, probably a good portion of people who aren't going to continue after they see that cover. They're just going to like that cover and move on, right? So yeah, I mean, if it were me, like I said, I would cut out my original song, chop it up in a fan finder style thing, and maybe use that as a test fan finder. If you're feeling some pressure to, create something specially for it. It probably still won't serve as well as if you did the exact same thing, but with like a couple camera angles. Like, if you look in the group, Kyle is talking about releasing his stuff this year, and he did something with Jonah McLean, who also known as Dukes. And there's only 2 shots. There's one of Cirque behind the mic, and there's one up top of Dukes playing the keys or whatever, using the loop station. There's no right answer, so I'm not going to give you a direct answer, and that probably would have maybe been easier for you. Then you could just agree or disagree with it. But I hope all of that is somehow helpful while you're considering what process you're going to take for that. So yeah, the cover thing is something that a lot of people do, and American Idol does, and Spotify, like, even on Spotify now, people are like, oh yeah, do a cover of some song that's a completely different genre from you that's super popular, and then people will whatever. And I think that can result in a lot of streams, but I think it results in next to no ownership of knowing who the artist is. And so I'm averse to covers, but some people dig it. So it's totally up to you. Judgment call. So second half, I'm also setting up my 5-day free EP experience and using an upsell funnel as my first e-series. But instead of free plus shipping and handling, I'm going with a bundled deal of a CD and my poetry book for $7. Very cool. I'm soft launching to my warmest fans first and need a little bit of music-related cash flow right now so I can order more merch. I plan to switch to the free plus shipping and handling when I get people through who are not as warm. Is that dumb? Should I just launch out of the gate with free plus shipping and handling? It's not dumb. I'm going to check out your landing page shortly. Okay, so, sorry, I'm kind of browsing to see how much of it is related since I botched that with Steve's comment earlier. So the point of the free plus shipping and handling funnel is more, I mean, you can use lots of strategies in a lot of different ways. But where free plus shipping and handling is like killer is right after like a typical launch. And you use retargeting of the people who were in your launch but did not buy. And then you're like, okay, fine. Like, you didn't want that. I get it. Here's a mega deal. And if you don't follow through with this, then we're probably just not meant to be lovers. You know what I mean? So you're not dumb for not skipping to free plus shipping and handling, because the best way to utilize a free plus shipping and handling is after you already have this large accumulation of at least permission stage audience, and and then also have this inventory that you're trying to bust through, right? Which is why, you would never do it with like on-demand stuff, right? So say you do this CD and poetry book bundle, and I know you have to probably order those poetry books or make them, and say you made like 50 more than you need. That would be great, for a free plus shipping and handling funnel. But let people pay you first. Let people try to pay you full price first, because I think that more people will probably do that than you think. So free plus shipping and handling is really the follow-up, I think, to a launch. It can work in both ways, because I know in the marketing world, and I know you're familiar with this, they'll give you free plus shipping and handling on a book to like get you in the door in the first place. You'll never have heard of them, and you'll see an ad from them saying, buy my book, or not even buy my book, just pay the shipping and I'll cover you, So but I think in our case, it's a little different just because of the way that, music and all of that works. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay. So here's a landing page for the upsell. Yeah. We can leave Facebook. I trust Little Spiral. Okay. Great. So, let me see what you asked. Cool. Margins of the poetry book are not as great as the shirt. Okay, so do you have the shirt in stock? So I'm gonna put in my stuff, and I'm just gonna put in a business address. Don't try to find me at this address, y'all. I don't live here. Just kidding. Oops. So, CD, book, got it. I'm signed up, get it. Okay, so $7 domestic shipping. And I'm not going to be able to see your OTO. Oh, this is, yeah. I get the upsell and the one click. I get those mixed up all the time. So, throw in some stickers and buttons. Yes. Anyway, I'm not going to buy this right now, but it looks like this is going good. You've got, your page view and your add to cart happening, right? So yeah, that's good. I think the design is, obviously really simple. And I don't know if this is if you already have worked on, like, decided that you want to do this white background or not. But it'd be nice to have a little bit of change up. Even if you like changed this, instead of it being, all zeros, and put it, at like D, right? Like a dark gray but it's not quite black. It helps it look a little less stock, and like maybe a different font, just finding something that looks a little less cut and paste. But I have a feeling that maybe you haven't finished this yet, and you're just like getting the first stuff kind of set up. So, the other thing too, I would consider italicizing the name of this album, because I get that that's the name, but I think some people, like, if they're reading it too fast, they might think like it's a Lorem Ipsum thing, where it's like, oh, she didn't finish the sentence here, So, but yeah, it looks like you've got the tech stack in here, everything's firing the way it should. I love the logo. So I would just put a little more design into here, maybe soften up that color. If you want to go with the white background, definitely maybe put in a font that's just a little bit more, almost like retro, especially black on white, because that was so big in like, Art Deco and the 20s time, which I know is silly. Like, black on white is a thing that forever. But, if you go with like a retro kind of font, sometimes, which is like, really soft, flow, clean, but flow, right? It can look really intentional, Yeah, so I think that looks good so far, though. So, I like a little bump with stickers. That's cool. I mean, I usually throw in stickers for free, so I don't know if $3 for stickers without some imagery of the stickers will make sense to people, but it's never too hard to try. Okay, let me get into comments here. Okay. Russell Brunson. Yeah, for sure. And you don't have the shirt in stock yet, hence the need to get a little more cash flow. Yep, I totally feel you. Yeah, definitely. And when you're doing an upsell like that with the shirt, it can be, you can charge enough to make it worth the margin for an on-demand shirt if you really need to. Check out demand first. Sometimes, like, the worst thing is buying like 75 t-shirts or 50 t-shirts even at that low a volume. Are probably being charged like $9 to $12 per shirt, depending on what kind and how many prints and colors and whatever. And if you only sell one or two, that can be really frustrating. So it's not necessarily terrible to go on demand. I try to avoid it, but if the design isn't proven and you don't know that your audience is going to be into it, going on demand with that isn't terrible. And you can actually link ShipStation to ClickFunnels, which can link to Printful or, all of those tools. So you've got options. All right, moving on. Denise. Hello, lady. How are you? Long time no speak. So let's get into your questions. Have you used the Facebook ad testing feature A/B. Okay. A/B testing feature to test audiences? Would you use that test tool for testing audience fan finder campaigns and or for finding new audiences? Can I use Facebook CBO with dynamic creative? I'm pretty sure right now, and it depends on the accounts too, because they roll out all of these individual features to different accounts based on their bandwidth and their budgets. I'm pretty sure though that you can't use campaign optimization with dynamic creative right now. Is there any downside? Well, apparently you can then. I think the only thing about CBO with dynamic creative is that you're trusting the algorithm 100% if you do that, right? And we say trust the algorithm, and I know that, and I do trust the algorithm most of the time. Like my brother, right? Like if I ended up in jail for some reason, I would call him, he would come down from Madison, Wisconsin, and he would get me out of jail. But when he drives my car, is he going to scuff my wheel? Probably, because he's not careful enough when he drives. He's younger than me. So, I trust him 99% of the time, but 1% of the time, I don't trust him. And it's not necessarily that I don't trust him. It's just that he's not going to treat my stuff the way I want my stuff to be treated or the way that I treat my stuff. So Facebook's kind of the same way, right? Like we trust the algorithm and we don't try to outsmart the algorithm or beat it, right? But if you're using campaign level optimization, which I think is what you're talking about, with dynamic creative, you are basically giving Facebook full reign, and it's going to be very difficult to see. You're going to have to track all the variables of your ads and the variables of your audiences, right? So it's just a lot. So I wouldn't say that it's, there's a downside to it. But that's the chance that you take, is that information's going to get kind of put into so many places, that, you can't really keep track. And then when you go to replicate something later, you don't know which one was, which combination of all the variables was best. So that can be a struggle. So yeah, it is possible to see dynamic creative. And I think the easiest thing is going to be to search how at business.facebook.com up here in the search bar. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I haven't run one in a month, which means it's probably different now from the way it used to be. Yeah. it's funny because that thing never works for me when I search in that bar. So let me quit lying. Oh my gosh, this is why live makes me so nervous. Just kidding. Because if I don't know exactly what I'm trying to do the instant that it's happening. Okay, so go to this little question up in Business Manager, type dynamic creative, and the very first one is understand the results of your dynamic creative ad. And then you'll be able to, okay, so it is still the same, but it's in the breakdowns, right? So when you're in Ads Manager, I was certain they would have changed this by now because when I started doing dynamic creative, it was still kind of new. So if I go back into this, for example, let me go. There's that personal ad account. All right, so when you go into here, and you've got these breakdowns here, right? And I don't know if we'll be able to see the option in here because I don't think we're running any creative dynamic in here. So, but anyway, if you go into that breakdown, that's where you're going to be seeing, be able to see how, like, which is doing better, what the combination is best. So, so that's how you do that. All right. So, how can I see what you're running? Okay. Can I then turn some off and leave only the best running, or do I need to stop and run a new campaign? Last I checked, right, you can shut off certain options, and so say you've got, one line of copy that no matter what image or video it's with, it is like totally tanking, right? You can shut it off, but the cool thing about dynamic creative is that even if it has a very low ratio of success, right, it still is going to find the people that are going to respond to it, right, after the first 48, 72 hours. So there might be like a micro portion, there might be like a 3% of your audience who would really respond to this particular combination. Facebook's going to know or figure out that those are the kinds of people who like that version. And even though it's a smaller version, it's still more effective with those people, whoever they are. So I usually don't turn stuff off. Like when I run, campaigns that have multiple ads, and I'm doing my own dynamic creative, so to speak, except it's not dynamic. I just made all the variants myself manually. Even if it's only like the worst performing one is only getting, 10 responses and they're costing me a bunch or whatever, the optimization is not going to put more money on that ad than it's going to use. Does that make sense? Essentially, like, I just trust the algorithm, which is ironic, right? That part I trust the algorithm with. I would let Mitch do that, my brother do that. So yeah, you can shut off variants of your dynamic creative. Last I checked, last I did it. But I wouldn't, because the whole point of dynamic creative is that Facebook is figuring out what kind of audiences respond to which combination's the best. And if it's giving it any budget at all, it's because it has found those few people. So that's my 2 cents about that. Best way to utilize ThroughPlay. Bright, shiny objects, just wondering. Yeah, ThroughPlay. It's funny because ThroughPlay has been a thing for months, and somebody commented on the group, it commented in the group probably 6 months ago or something. It was like, hey, what's this with ThroughPlay? And at first we were like, well, I don't know, test it. And ThroughPlay at the time, Facebook was touting it as, we will get the most 15-second video views we can. And if it's longer, we'll still be optimizing for 15-second views, which was really, to me, that seemed ridiculous because it's like, well, what's the point of that? Like, why don't you just name it a 15-second video view? Like, we've got 10-second, 3-second, just call it 15 seconds. That's what it is. And then they kind of started to change the verbiage of it and say 15 seconds, but if it's longer, we'll just try to get as many people watching as long as we can. So here's my gut on it, right? Because Facebook didn't call me and tell me what to think about it. The same way that we're like, okay, 95% video viewers aren't necessarily better than 75% video viewers, because it could mean that somebody's got a video feed going that is just going and going and going, and they're not really paying attention. They're not engaged with it, which I know has happened to me when I'm watching a video on Facebook. I don't pause it. I get up from my desk. Next thing I know, the cat tipped over a plant and I got, whatever else going on. And 30 minutes later, I come back and all of these videos have been playing. That's probably not what's happening the majority of the time, but there's a reason why 75% lookalikes typically outperform a 95% lookalike. And that's because there are people who will take a specific action, right? So that said, ThroughPlay is probably optimizing for people who watch lots of videos, like all the way through. Basically, there are people who will just pay attention to video content for whatever reason. And do we want that? And I think that's the question. Because if you have people that just will consume anything and are not discriminatory about what kind of videos they watch, that may not be what we want to optimize for. So that I think that's something to consider with ThroughPlay. But again, it's one of those things where it's like, well, it's going to totally depend on, I think if you were dealing with like a young pop wannabe Ariana Grande, ThroughPlays might be cool because you're targeting an audience that typically does not consume media in long form, right? So you're combating a challenge that is in front of you because of your demographic. I think though, like for Chase's audience, for example, they consume things, they'll sit there and watch him play a guitar solo for 7 minutes if they're really into it. So, ThroughPlay may not be what you want to optimize for. So I know that's not an answer or not a defined answer, but, those are my 2 cents about ThroughPlay. Test, right? Test. So, if I were you, if you really wanted to get kind of a test idea, like chunk off $50, run, an ad to one audience and an ad to a similar audience, but different audience. One of them optimized for 10-second views and one of them optimized for ThroughPlay, and then look at your video percentage watched, average, and then look at how many 75% video viewers you got in, because that's where the money mark is, right? And just run them at the same time for a few days and just see how they perform. That's the best way to do that. So, all right. All of a sudden the band page has top fans. Yeah, you have the top fans feature. I love the top fans feature because it happens automatically, but it notifies people as if you just did it. So, and I didn't realize that, but when it first started happening, it probably unlocked on my page probably, I don't know, like six or 7 months ago. And people were messaging me out of nowhere, not in response to anything I'd sent. They're like, thank you so much for making me a top fan, or like posting on the page. And I was like, I didn't do that. But it's because Facebook did. But the notification that they get is that you did it. So yeah, that happens naturally. Like Facebook, once it starts rolling out to your page, Facebook will update it based on who's engaged with your content the most. But you can also manually influence it, right? Which is a great incentive. So I'll show you a little bit about how that works. Facebook.com/ let's just go to my page so I can feel famous for a minute. I'm just kidding. So, if you go here into settings, where is that now? I remember Facebook badges, right? Top fan badges. So if you want, you can turn them off. They automatically happened. This guy was I don't even know where he was, but he was a crazy spammer, and I did not like him commenting on my stuff. So I removed him from top fans after he engaged with 50,000 things, in a really creepy way. But there, it kind of shows like you can make changes to that. Although you used to be able to set manual ones, and now it's not doing that. It's just having them turned off. So why don't we look in the help section real quick? It's not in the ads one, but that's probably because it's not really an ads feature. So top fans is mainly for video content producers. Interesting. So now it looks like you can manage them only by turning them off. I used to be able to select people at the beginning. I used to be able to, like, basically the same way you would search for a person who likes your page. I could just search for them and make them a top fan. Maybe they found that people were using that questionably, like, you know, making people pay for it, or finding, you know, there may be a way that people were abusing it. So I guess you can't do that anymore. So I take that back. But that said, you go in here to your page, settings, Facebook pages. You can turn them on or off. And I think let's see, you should be able to see who they are. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So when you go to your page and you see a comment, if they interacted with something, wait for it to load. No. Oh my gosh, where are my posts? Oh, my posts are like crazy down there. You ever feel like you're just trying to, like, see your stuff when you're so anyway, you should be able to go into the contents, right? Or the comments, and, like, see if any of these people are tagged. Which I thought David Ford was a top fan, but not. But he would have a little badge right here, and then it'll let you, in this 3-button menu, remove it. So that's how you manage those. But otherwise, there's not a whole lot you can do with them anymore, which is really disappointing. But I'll bet you it's because someone was abusing it, charging people money for it, selling them, whatever. And Facebook was like, nope, not doing that no mo. So it always is somebody ruins it for the rest of the group. All right. So I hope that helps, Denise. All right. Greg, what's up, dude? I hope I get to come to your show. I think it's first week of May. I saw Jesse was going, so I hope I can make it. Oh, look, you're even talking about it. My first ever ClickFunnels page setup. Sweet. I'm using this to sell tickets to a live album taping show. Could you look at the pages to make sure I'm set up properly? I'm going to close out everything else over here. I know the top 2 videos are the same. Changing the first one to be a promo video once I finish it. Got it. In the training, it doesn't say which zaps or what MailChimp configuration I should use to run this. Which ones? Gotcha. Also, my upsell is a special shirt just for this show, but I don't have the money to print a bunch, so I'm just selling it. And if someone buys it, I'm using Printful to print and ship it. Asking for address on the thank you page. Will this work? Yeah. Okay, cool. So, let me see it. This is cool. I already like this, and I remember when I looked at one of it might have been your website last time, you had, like, lots of colors, right? It was the red that I was like, wow, what's this red? So I love that you've got this dark up here, and, you know, you're focusing on this green, and it's also like the green is in your lighting, right, of this photo. So I think that's really cool. All right. Wow, you are doing the most, because most people do not build a sales page for a ticket to, like, a local show. But that's cool. That is not a knock at all. I think it's awesome. So you got some proof there. It's a gallery of things. Oh, is Jesse actually opening at your show? So it's not that he's going. He is, but gotcha. FAQ. Dude, you've done the most here. Okay. Well, I think this is great. This is a little small, right? This little text. Like, I mean, I'm really nitpicking because this looks good. You know, you've put in all the work for a sales page. So if I shrink this, look at what mobile looks like. All right. So, oh, I just realized when I shrink that, it goes behind my face. Funny. Sorry about that, guys. May 11th. See, wasn't so far off. Cool. Yeah, I think this looks good. What happens when I click get tickets? You're selling tickets. Lovely. We've got the pixel firing. Got add to cart happening. Cool. Page view. Good. Love it. It's great. Yeah, man. This is looking good. The only thing, you've got the ClickFunnels favicon in here. Go ahead and when you're on this ClickFunnels page, there should be something up here-ish that says settings. And if you click on that, the very first option, it lets you change out the favicon for the funnel. So, but other than that, this looks good. I like that there's a countdown. Make sure from experience. Okay, you're saying early bird tickets. I'm assuming this is not like going to the time that the show starts. You know, like make sure it ends however many hours you need before the show actually starts, so that you can load in and not be stressed about if more people bought tickets and you missed it. So, but yeah, I think this looks good. I'm gonna check out the video real quick. Oh, this is a live performance. Okay, cool. Well, you know, Cirque would kick your butt with this intro, though. It's a little different, though, because it's on, you know, there's other stuff happening on this page. But I'm like, where is he, though? Okay, there he is. Cool, he's here, you know? So it took about 20 seconds to get there. So that's just something to consider. Not a big deal on a sales page, but something to consider. Otherwise, I think this looks great. So good luck with that. And I'll save this link, because if I go, I'll make sure I buy my tickets here. So I'm going to look at your upsell now. It's so funny that it's like, you're leaving Facebook. I'm like, I know. Oh, Greg's asking, what did you say you could change? I don't remember off the top of my head, but when you're in, like, say you're editing this page from within ClickFunnels and you've got the menu up here, I'm pretty sure, like, I'm just like visually recalling, there's a menu right here and you can change it. But I was talking about the favicon, which is FAV icon, and it's this little thing that shows up in the tab. It's not a big deal, but ClickFunnels gets a lot of free advertising because people forget to remove the favicon. Also, Greg, heads up, you've got your ClickFunnels affiliate thing here, which I always remove that. It's not a big deal, but I'm like, man, you don't need to advertise on all my stuff. Get out of here. So I see this is our one click. Cool. Since you've got 6 of these, I'd say put, if at all possible, put a 3 row and instead have those buttons and those 3 on top, 3 on bottom. Yeah. And then what you can do is you can, you know, make the shirt a little bigger so they can see it. Because I think I'd like to see it a little bigger. Yeah. And on mobile. Cool. That looks good. Got it. What pixels we got? Page view. Purchase. Cool, because they just bought the ticket. Got it. All right. Thank you. You did the thing. You did the thing, Greg. I like it. Your merch will be at the booth. Okay, if you purchased the discography bundle, it'll be waiting for you at the merch booth. If you bought the shirt, it'll be shipped to you. Enter your shipping address. Okay, so the only thing is, you know, you're going to have to either trust that only people who bought the shirt fill this out, or, which I don't know if you've got this set up dynamically to only show if they bought the shirt, but that would be pretty advanced if you did that. I don't think I've ever done that. The other thing is that you'll just have to keep in mind that some people might fill this out because they're not paying attention and put in all kinds of stuff that is like, and they're not somebody who bought a shirt. So just check that to make sure that you don't end up giving away shirts for people who didn't buy them. So, but yeah, I think this stuff looks good, man. Again, same thing, favicon here, affiliate link down at the bottom right are still visible, but otherwise, this looks good. You know, I think it's pretty good. Cool. All right, so you were asking about Zaps or MailChimp configuration. So don't use the ClickFunnels MailChimp integration, the native one, which is like when you're on that first page, right? I'm going to pull it up again. When you're here and editing this, when you're editing the form, it'll ask you if you're integrating, a CRM or something for this email address, like where it should store. Don't use MailChimp there. What you're going to want to do is go into Zapier, and you can basically set up a Zap that goes from ClickFunnels to your MailChimp, and that'll send all that information over. Also, if you search in the group, somebody figured out a hack to identify ClickFunnels sales stuff. Let's see. Gosh, what was that guy's name? Was it Matt? Yes, it's a Matt. Oh, and actually, you know what? I loved it so much, I saved it in our units. So if you go to the group and you go to units, ClickFunnels helps hacks. There's a tutorial there. I mean, we should hire this guy. But he basically made a tutorial of how to get your upsell products communicated over to MailChimp. And if you did this, then instead of having that form on the thank you page, you could send a follow-up email and only gather emails from the people who did the t-shirt, right? And that way you wouldn't have to check to see if those are somebody who, that was somebody who bought it. So yeah, go to the group. Units, ClickFunnels helps and hacks, and that'll help you source out how to do a connection between Zapier or ClickFunnels and MailChimp via Zapier. Cool. Hope that helps, Greg. All right, so we are already past the hour, but you guys are worth it. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh the page quick and make sure nobody put anything in at the bottom. Squeeze it in. There's Greg. All right. Oh yeah, and I didn't forget you guys. Other states. I know you've got your stuff in the chat, so I'll take a look there. I was looking for input on my landing page. Doesn't seem to be going so great. Sorry about that. This is an ad going to a warm audience. Cool. All right. Well, this is okay. Sorry. That was not like, oh, this is so bad. I just was reading while I was talking, so I stopped. Don't let me scare you. I wasn't like, oh wow, this is bad or anything like that. So yeah, I don't love this font personally, which isn't a big deal. But it looks a little bit like stock, But other than that, this seems pretty basic. I would guess that if you're having trouble, I would definitely try a vid. I don't know if you already have tried a video. I would try a video to just so that I'm like, okay, and keep in mind, like, my perspective on your page right now is different from someone who has been in your funnel, right, and who knows who you are. But that said, I think, like, I would love to see something here from you that talks about, why are these songs special? And also, why is being on your email list special? Like, what am I getting for that besides these 3 songs that are a temporary fix, right? What's the long game? So I think I'd love to see something like that from you. Video tends to do better most of the time. So, and you can A to B that stuff in ClickFunnels too. So yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to critique here. It seems pretty simple. The other thing that you might want to take a look at is, your actual ad, and just make sure that the people who, when they get here, it's really clear what they're getting already, or really clear what kind of page they're going to, so that when they get here, they already have an expectation and it's not so reliant on the page itself, right? So that would be my other recommendation. And then just make sure that whatever ad they're seeing that preps them for this has your face, and has a similar vibe to the ad that they saw before that qualified them to get them to that one, you know? So, but if everything else has gone well up until this landing page, keep in mind there could be something on the page, but it could also very well be the ad that is pushing them to the page. So just make sure that ad is really clear, and I would try a video here. So that's my 2 cents on that. Hope that's helpful. Greg number 2 or Greg number 1, and he's 2, whatever. Greg's. Cool. So I think that's it. I'm going to refresh again just in case. And okay, other states emailed me. Perfect. Don't read my email, guys. So nosy. Just kidding. Okay, there's Mike. Sweet. All right, here's Mike's message. Okay. Also, just to let you guys know, don't email me a whole bunch, okay? Just because you have my email now. It's not like that email was super cryptic anyway. But if you send me stuff outside of live, I won't have time to look at your stuff. I'm sorry. So I'm just letting you know now. Cool. This started before I even got into it. Look at these cool people. I dig it. I'm already attracted, and not in a weird way, to this page. I like it a lot. I like how it seems to like almost black out at the top and has this like cave-ish vibe, like it's inset. I love that. I feel like I have multiple things playing music right now. Maybe not. That's you guys. Cool. Yeah, I like the auto start. I think that's fine. All right. Claim your spot. You got your proof. Basically got a bit fed up with the limitations of the traditional album release route. All of us, man. Cool. I like the font here. I like what you're saying. Ton of time. Bright and based. We got some pictures. Got some cool little icons there. I dig it. So the only thing might be I might put free in front of this spot. Even though you say that here. And, you know, if it's set in your ad, you might be fine. Actually, let me go back and review. Because you left some information here. It opt-ins at £5 a go. Yeah, that's a little high. So we switched to an ad to a more scarcity-based advert. Would appreciate some feedback. Okay. Let me know if you've already set a start date, Mike. I think you could benefit from having a countdown and having a fixed. We have a lot of funnels that they try to go evergreen right away, and evergreen is the goal. But for the first iteration of any funnel that we run at the agency, we always do time-based, because going evergreen is hard. For some reason, people are just really amped about doing something that literally is scarce, right? Because it's time-based. So that's something to consider. But I don't know if you've already... Well, you said on April 22nd. Okay, and the sign-up's down here. I just needed to keep scrolling. See now? You guys are reading my mind in the retro. So yeah, I would put this up, like put this other bar. I would copy this and zoop right at the top. And I know it says starting April 22nd, but I didn't even see that. So I would, put that up here, like maybe right under this, and having the bar there, or you could put it under the Life Elevated experience there, right? But yeah, I think that's something that could help. I'm going to keep looking at your stuff. I Yeah, I mean, I think the appearance of it is good. There's a couple of different, I can't tell if they're different fonts or if it's just because like they're all caps here and lowercase elsewhere. So I would just, it's weird how people disconnect and realize I say that all the time. Like fonts can really throw people off really fast if there's too many. But yeah, if I were you, I would make it really, you've got almost 3 weeks before this starts. So I would go ahead, make sure that your audience isn't exhausted, right? That you don't have too little in the traffic, the cold traffic that came before this. So just make sure that that's well populated. And if it's not, and you haven't gotten as many people to be eligible to see your ad for this, maybe put some of the budget back into that fan finder. So, okay, gotcha. So, I saw what you're saying about the typewriter font. It is a little hard to read. Red on black is actually surprisingly hard to read. I don't know why, but we've seen some disconnect with red text on black. So, maybe, depending on how integrated that is into, this red on blue, it's a little tough to read. So, but, that's not why people aren't signing up for less money. So, I would say like check your reach and frequency on your second level ad. Make sure that you're not maxing out that audience. If you are, you're going to want to bring in some more cold people. Go ahead and I would say here, instead of starting April 22nd, I would put that second bar with the countdown. And really, like, we can't wait to, start this with you, right? Like when we're talking about this. Like we'll be going through this with you every day starting on April 22nd, so that they know that you're actively involved and that this is kind of like a time, like you got to do this now or you're not going to be involved in it. So that would be really, otherwise I think the page looks strong. There's nothing that sticks out that, is like, oh, well, that's why. And I like the video. I think you got a good video. So yeah, those are my 2 cents about that, Mike. Oh yeah, I'm going to keep looking at the other stuff. Okay. So that's that. Here's...
Just want to let you know that we've got 50 places left on our album experience. We really want you guys to come along with us.
Yeah, it's totally free. There's 10 days of songs, videos, stories about us and our journey in creating this album. All with a totally open communication throughout. We want to have a chat with you about like there's themes on the album and maybe some of your responses to them.
Yeah, so it's happening in 20 days.
Nah. You guys are so cute.
50 places left.
Love and peace.
Wow, love ya.
I love you guys.
Hi guys.
I love you guys. I can't even stand it. I think that's great. So the only thing is, let me know how you think this long copy is doing for you. And see, because we've got the long copy here. We've got a video here. We've got a video on the other page, right? Another thing that I think could work would be, we've been seeing a lot of success with like vertical phone stuff. And like this video looks great, But imagine if like one of you was holding a phone while you were saying the exact same thing and kind of like, pivoting the phone to look between. And then you can, so that could be something where it's just, it looks more like, it brings people more into seeing other people, more candid. And, we've seen a lot of success with JSON, right? And trying to do messenger ads to get people, like if the opt-in page is really getting to a point where it's like, this isn't working, maybe pivot to messenger ads and set up a JSON, right? And you can collect people's emails in ManyChat and forward them to MailChimp, so even if messenger is what gets them into the first door and then getting their email after that is, the next piece of it. We use ManyChat as kind of like a little bridge all the time, because it just tends to help us kind of really get those opt-ins pushing through when they seem to be struggling a little bit. So that's another thing you could try. I think this is cute though. I mean, I like you guys. Yeah, I love that's a perfect thumbnail for it. Yeah, so the only thing I would, so I don't think there's anything that's like blatantly wrong with your assets. If anything, I think it's probably an audience thing, right? Where you don't have enough people who are feeding from your first step to this one, and now you're on a timeline. So if I were you, I would try some messenger stuff, try some messenger ads to see if that works. So, split the budget of what you're currently sending to that landing page. Do try putting that time, that timeline at the top with a countdown. But yeah, I think that might be another way around it. So, yeah, these look good, Mike. You guys look great. Yeah. So hopefully that helps answering. Don't think you'll make many chat this time. Yeah, I can totally understand that. It's not something you want to like do on the next. Oh, sorry, I wasn't watching these comments in real time. Suggest making the audience time-based. We change it to go to 50% and 75%. Yeah, I almost always only go to 75% video viewers for opt-in stuff. 50% just doesn't end up doing it for me. What I have done is I've put another video between that I retarget 50% video viewers and try to get them in the 75% watch for the follow-up. See if I can get them more warmed up. But I typically abandon people below 75%. And if they're meant to stay around, they'll come back around, So, so that might be something. And that would be my guess, is that's an audience thing, and that you need more people coming into the fan finder. I don't think it needs to be time based. I think as long as you're growing the people that are coming in under the fan finder, as long as you don't see your frequency going way, way, way too high on your second ad, you're probably fine. People can see it a few times and maybe take action the third or fourth time, and that's totally normal. So don't feel like you need to exclude them and make it just a time-based audience, right? So, and then the other thing I try is maybe some copy that's a little bit more to the point, and that, makes it really clear, like April 22nd, it's all closing down. Clear out sale, right? So, okay, I think that's everybody. I'm going to refresh the page. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out and sticking around. I know we went a little long today, but I just wanted to make sure to get everybody's stuff taken care of if we can. And Mike, the too high frequency would be somewhere between 5 and 7. Usually when something hits 7, I'm like, that's done for an opt-in. If it's for sales, I usually try to keep it a little lower because people get annoyed with sales ads faster. So, but yeah, usually 5 to 7 is where the frequency is like, eek, a little too high. So thank you guys. I am going to be done for now. So hopefully I answered any of your questions. If you have any follow-ups, of course, I believe there's a Q&A session next week. It'll probably be Jack, if I had to guess. And so you can bomb him with all your questions and follow-ups from that. But I hope today was helpful. Props to you for taking advantage of Indies Live, because it is the most valuable thing in the membership, in my opinion. So I know I'm valuing myself high. Anyway, have a great rest of the week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.